All right. So, welcome everybody. Happy International Women's Day to all the amazing women all over the world here, but also men. Doesn't matter whether you're men and women, it's wonderful to have you with us this evening to celebrate and to bring awareness and to support our beautiful, wonderful, divine Husne Aslantas adventure. And of
Yay.
course, right, Jojo, we both agree that our Sissy is one of a kind and she's
Amazing.
to
One
be
of a kind.
celebrated. So on
Yeah,
this very
that's
special day of awareness as well as celebration, we're so excited that you are joining us. And of course, some of you might not be here yet, and we are going to have this event made available on YouTube as well as Facebook Live. So without further ado, I'm going to be connecting to my Facebook Live, Cici.
yeah.
Right? So then anyone, can always go to our Facebook and watch it at a later stage, because I know that, where we are in Australia, it is actually sort of 7:30, maybe dinner time for some. I know that Anthony is having his chops and some others may be having their dinner. So let us share this. So just give me 30 seconds. How about we just go around the room a little bit and share a little bit about each other? Why are you here to support our beautiful Husne? Jojo, why don't you get started?
Okay, so my name is Jojo. Husne is one of my absolute dearest friends in the world. I think she's amazing. And one of the things I love about her is her integrity in
Yes.
everything that she does. When she does things, she really does them with passion and she does them fully. So, and I know her heart. So when she told me she was going to do this project, it really resonated with me because I've also known about child trafficking for a very, very, very long time. And I used to talk about this a lot, and people used to think I was the crazy lady because I would say that this is the single biggest trade in the world, and people would just think, oh, it's nuts. So I've been aware of this for a long time, and I think it's so important that we, not just facilitate awakening, but actually do something to help our children. And it's part of my passion. So, yeah, so my background is in healing. So, like Husne, I'm a very compassionate person, and you know, um, I care deeply about the children in this world, like you do, Kitty, and like Husne does. And so,
Absolutely.
this is why when she told me, I thought this is just amazing. This is great because it ticks all the boxes. It's a beautiful project. The money is really going where it needs to go. It's on a huge platform, and it's going to raise awareness and facilitate awakening and support the children. So it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic.
Well, thank you,
Yeah.
Sissy Jojo and
Yeah.
Sissy Husney. I've adopted her Husney. Yeah, so
Yeah.
basically, we are now live on Facebook. So what that means is, we can actually watch it for those of our friends that might not be available now. And I'm going to be uploading it on YouTube, so that will be good for other people to watch it as well. So we're really excited that, we have every single one of you join us, whether live right now or, at a later stage on YouTube or our Facebook Live, as we are uniting together to make a difference in the world, which is something we all are passionate about. Now, let me
Yeah.
just, by way of introduction, share a little bit about, the exciting journey and adventure and, the groundbreaking, a TV show that Husne is aspiring to be going on to, charity TV. Global's latest adventure is the groundbreaking travel show called Adventure All Stars. Woohoo! So pre-filming, is really all live cast members raise funds, for a nominated charitable, meaningful cause. As Jojo has already shared with us, Project Karma is something, a beautiful, beautiful project, as well as a cause that we all are behind. And, the reward for doing that is, of course, starring a role in the TV series. And every television episode features real life cast members undertaking an unforgettable journey to a secret location for 6 days of fun and adventure. So Husne and I had a little bit of like a taste when we went up to the Kokoda Australia version for the 1,000 steps, didn't we, Sissy?
Yes.
And we had such a good time, but of course, probably not as fun as it's gonna be when she's going on that adventure on TV. But no matter what, seriously, from the point of view of us gathering together, wanting to make a difference, we really want to do this through the eyes of an engaging and socially conscious manner. And when Husne is going to be going on that cast as a member, that is what she's doing. She's a conscious cast member. So Husne Aslantas is a potential cast member, in this TV show. And what she needs, though, is every single one of our support to raise 10,000 Australian dollars for her chosen charity, which is Project Karma. And for those of you who don't know about Project Karma, Husne is going to be sharing a bit about her heart and why she chose that as her nominated charity. And you can also take a look at a later stage at projectkarma.org.au. Now, tonight, in the next, 40 minutes or so, we have 3 sessions to this evening. Number one is that Husne will be sharing a bit about her personal story and journey leading up to going on this TV show and this adventure All Star. And then the second part of this evening is that, we will share with you about, of course, the nominated charitable cause, the Project Karma. Then third part of what we're going to be sharing with every single one of you is how you can support her in her quest to be, going through this journey and adventure, and how you can get her to her trip, which is something that I'm very, very keen and passionate about doing. And that's why I'm organizing this along with any future fundraising endeavors to help my dear soul sister Husne to get to that location. So this is my mission amongst many of my other missions. All right, so let me, by way of introduction, share with you Adventure All Star so that you have a bit of a taste of what it's like. So let's take a look. Can you see my screen, Sissy?
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right, so enjoy, in the next 45 seconds what the adventure.
This has been the best experience of my life. Whoever gets the opportunity to do this is definitely the luckiest person alive.
Get on this adventurous week. It's been an amazing, fantastic week. I rate it up there with the best things I've ever done.
I feel full of gratitude. I feel full of joy. I feel full of fun and adrenaline. How often does one person get to do all these things in 1 week? This week actually has got me feeling like I am the most blessed person in the whole country.
You've got to do it now because tomorrow may be too late. Get out there and enjoy this world. It is a magnificent place.
Adventure All Stars, a brand new series coming soon on Outdoor.
All right, so this is something that our Husne Aslantas is potentially going. So without further ado, Husne, why don't you share with us about this whole journey leading to where we are right now, that, from the time that you knew about this Adventure All Stars, and now you are raising funds to support your chosen charity.
Sure. Thank you, Kitty. Thank you also for organising this and supporting me with it. I really, really appreciate it with all my heart. Bless you, Jojo.
Thank you.
Today is International Women's Day, so
Yes.
happy International Women's Day to all the beautiful sisters out there, and to everyone that's joining us today. Thank you, and God bless you for being here and supporting me in this journey. I really, really appreciate it with all my heart. Just a little bit of a backstory as how this thing happened. I think that I actually manifested this, and I would say I manifested it because this is the closest thing to my heart, and I'm extremely passionate about this project. I met Glen Hillary about 2 years ago when I went to the launch of Project Karma, the one that was in Australia, I think 2 or 3 years ago, and I went with Anthony, and I was invited by Lucia, who is a beautiful beauty queen. And from that day on, it really got me thinking. And just lately with, COVID and so many children being trafficked, and, how unstable our society has become. And the other part, of course, is that I was abused as a child. So that's why I guess it's very dear to me. And what I really want is to leave this world a safer place for our children, all our children, because, I don't look at people's children like they're their children. I look at them like they're my children. And I feel that that's how every one of us should be looking, because they're our future, right? But when I found out just how much of it was going on, it just really struck me, and I was as sick as a dog. Like, I was literally vomiting with the pain in my gut. And I said, God, please show me a way that I can help, that I can do this, and, on a large scale, that I can potentially reach millions, and just educate people, but, do something about it to make change, to bring change on. And I actually wrote that in my diary when I went home. And I never forget, 51 days later exactly, I got a call saying that I was accepted to potentially go into this show. And then they told me what the potential reach was: 45 million households, which equates to about 100 million viewers. And I went, oh my God. So I was on my hands and knees crying, and I was just so ecstatic. So this is so dear to my heart, because what I find is it is so widespread, and sadly, it even goes on in our families and in our communities. But then, we're told that we can't speak about it. So I want to bring awareness to that side as well. And I want to bring a voice to these children, to these mothers who cannot, come out and say, well, this is what's happened to my daughter, or this is what's happened to me. So especially on International Women's Day, I want to bring our voice back. I want to bring our authenticity back, and I want to bring the safety issue back. And I think it's really, really important for us to be able to have a voice and to feel safe. I mean, this is what it's about, right? For us to all feel safe and leave this world as a safe place for our children when we pass on. So in terms of Project Karma, like I said, I met Glen 2 years ago, and he's absolutely amazing. And he's going to bless me with his presence here today a little bit later on. So you'll get a chance to meet him. He's absolutely amazing. So I will leave that part to Glen. But I am so passionate about Project Karma and everything that they've done. It's just amazing. And, I wanted to be a part of it. And I think, wow, 2 years ago, I planted a seed in my mind, in my heart. This is, I would love to be a part of this. And today it's happening. And I just feel absolutely blessed. With the charity TV and All Stars, Adventure All Stars. I'm really excited, but then on the other hand, I'm really scared because we don't know where we're going. We don't know what we're going to be doing. So I was talking to Jojo when I went up there to see her, and I said, oh my God, Sissy, I don't know how to ride a bike. I don't know how to do diving. I don't know how to do skydiving, and, you know, all these things that I don't know. And then, you know, we're going to trek probably for a while. So I made it a mission that I will endeavor to learn some of these things and to experience it before I go. So I'm not totally, you know, kind of left in the dark. And I dare say that I would probably be the oldest one there. So, wow. I'm going to learn to ride a bike, guys. So I don't know really how to ride a bike. And I don't know how to do diving. So I'm endeavoring to learn these. And I remember Con doing something kind of very outrageous. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure, Con, you will remember that day when you went into the pool of ice.
Definitely. It's all about testing your mind and pushing yourself to the max. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's all about the mindset. And as soon as you put your mind into it, everything's impossible.
Yeah. So I remember that day. I remember watching you, and I'm thinking, you know what, like Con and I are kind of the same age. Well, you know, if Con can do it, well, I can do it too. So
it's funny you mentioned that. There was a guy called back in the 60s, Bannister, and he actually broke the record of the 4 minute mile, you know what I mean? And since then, no one could actually go and do it because it was impossible. Since that date, over 20,000 people have done and beat that particular record. What has changed? Nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed, people said, well, if he can do it, it is possible, I can do it.
Yeah. So if Con can do it, there's no reason why I can't do it.
Definitely.
So right now, I want to say welcome to Glen, who I believe has joined us. His mic is off. Yeah, welcome, Glen.
How you going?
Good, hello. Thank you so much for coming at such short notice. I sent you a message about half an hour ago, guys, so I feel very blessed that he's really joined us. And Glen, I invited you because I wanted all my friends to see you, that, you know, the money that I raise is not just going to a corporation, that it's actually going to the right place, that, you know, where it's needed. So Kitty, I'm just wondering whether you would like to have Glen tell his story. Would that be okay? So your mic is off, Kitty.
Yes, I'm muted. I'm now unmuted. Yeah, thank you, Glen, for being on. I'm just so excited that you're able to share with us, you know, since Husne shared with me about Project Karma, I've been reading up and learning about it, and truly is such a great cause to fight child sexual exploitation. And particularly today, you know, on this International Women's Day, you know, we really believe that a lot of us can do something special, women and men alike, to help in that regards. So Glen, if you don't mind, I'm going to be, you know, sharing the video of Project Karma. And then after that, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about, from your perspective, you know, Project Karma, you know, sort of history and all that. Would that be okay?
Yeah, sure. No problem.
Thank you. Okay, let's do that. Absolutely, change starts with every single one of us. So Glenn is the one that, of course, does a lot with Project Karma. Why don't you share with us how it all got started?
Yeah, sure. Got started back in 2014. Originally, back in 2013, I was on a holiday in Southeast Asia, going to a number of countries, and I experienced this problem firsthand. And I've had a background in policing prior to that. I did 13 years in Victoria Police, and what I was confronted with was very unsettling, and it led to an experience where I was offered a child that I could have sex with, and I could take away with me to a hotel. And that was, in the first instance, around $20 US. And then I was taken to another place where I had access to an even younger child, a 4-year-old girl that I could take with me away from that place, and that would have cost me $50 US. And that really bothered me tremendously. I've seen a lot of the bad end of the human society throughout my career, and this actually shocked me quite a lot. So it affected me throughout the holiday. I couldn't get it off my mind, and when I got back, I was in a position where I could start to look at doing something different. I'd been out of the police force for a little while, and I started looking for organisations or charities, people out there that were focusing on this type of stuff. Because back in 2014, the problem was quite. It's still bad now, don't get me wrong, but the focus on it around the world just wasn't there, and that's really a great thing that has happened in the last 5 or 6 years, and we like to think we've been a small part of that in bringing global awareness at government level, at law enforcement level, and throughout the NGO communities in relation to these types of crimes around the world. And so getting back to the story just quickly, try to keep it brief because it's a long story, but essentially I offered my services to a number of organisations overseas, and I went over to Cambodia to begin with, working for an organisation over there and training local police and running some investigations, helping to convict some of the child sex offenders, particularly foreign child sex offenders that come to these areas of the world to abuse children and are willing to pay for it. There's quite a substantial market for that, as you would have just seen in the video. It's exceeding $40 billion annually in the trafficking of children to provide sexual services in Southeast Asia. And that is, again, only a small part of the problem that we deal with. There's a whole other range of problems that we focus on too in the online realm, in the digital world, which is obviously an area that has skyrocketed, escalated tremendously in the last 6 to 10 years, but particularly in the last 3 or 4 years, and through these lockdowns globally, and children being home from school, and all the sorts of things that we've been raising awareness of last year and again this year. We've seen massive spikes in online crime for live streaming of these types of crimes, but also in sharing of child sexual exploitation material is what we call it. There's a whole market in that, and so we assist law enforcement in that. But again, I'm trying to stick to the story in that, it led me to working in Cambodia, which then led me to another position where I moved to Jakarta, and I worked based in Indonesia for about 6 months, and I was running a number of investigation teams, private investigators, each from their local areas that were trained in this project and came under my training and supervision. And in running those teams spread across 6 different countries, we ran a number of investigations in conjunction with the local law enforcement and federal law enforcement in many different countries. And it was quite a successful project. But what I found was that they were only focusing on foreigners committing these crimes, and that was really the scope of that project. And when I raised this, I found that it wasn't going to be a focus of that project. And when my experience was showing me that about 85% of these crimes are actually committed by local people, that sort of made it very hard for me to stay in that program. So cutting a long story short, I essentially came back to Australia after advising Indonesian police for a few months. And I decided to, I was more convinced by some other people, to begin my own organisation. and that's how Project Karma was born. And I spent 2 years researching on the ground in a number of these countries with different law enforcement agencies, immigration, different government agencies, and also at local level, what we call like micro government. In a lot of these countries, in regional areas, it's very remote, and it's very much a village type scenario. So local social order structure, religion are very intertwined. So learning different culture, religion, all in a process to try to understand why these areas of the world have such high proliferation of these crimes. I mean, it's very easy to look at and understand that, as I've said in some of my other interviews that I've done, you know, what is obvious with these crimes is that, you know, poverty creates vulnerability, and vulnerability creates the opportunity for exploitation. And there's always going to be someone prepared to exploit to make money. And we find that a lot of the people that are profiting from these types of crimes are not pedophiles. They're not, in the true sense of the word, in that they are sexually attracted to children. Most often they are facilitators, and quite often they can be family members, they can be parents, they can be cousins, they can be an auntie, that will facilitate young children online for paying customers in Western countries, and quite often doing it through cryptocurrency and things like that to make it harder to be tracked. So we deal with all these types of things. But I put together what we call our Sentinel model. And we've been running that in Bali now for 2 years, and we've been raising money. We've been raising money for the last 12 months to expand that project throughout the whole island, but also into Lombok, which is where we've already started. But there's other areas that we've identified in the model that we have worked in ad hoc, where we've done investigations to assist law enforcement, but we're not running our full program, which I'll explain in just a sec. So that Sentinel model involves 3 main pillars of focus, and that's our first is education and awareness. So we have and I won't take up too much time tonight because there's a whole story behind a lot of these initiatives and projects that we run. But we run school programs for children in Balinese schools. So it's in Indonesian. It's been approved by local cultural leaders, local religious leaders, and the education department. And it was put together by a working party that I formed 2 years ago that spent around 18 months essentially putting together packages for lesson plans and class activities that we could run in these schools, age appropriate. So we have 3 packages that we run in Balinese schools, from kindergarten age through to primary school age through to junior high school ages. And it's all about empowering children. Because in a lot of these areas of the world, as many that you're watching now might be aware, but these types of topics are very taboo in culture, in village culture. So it's not talked about a lot, and children quite often aren't even aware of what appropriate touch is and what it isn't, and who can touch them and where. These types of things. So to be able to come into these schools and talk to children about how to protect themselves and their friends from child sex offences is quite an achievement for our organisation. I'll be honest about that. Indonesia doesn't even allow sex education in their school curriculums in the whole country. So it's a very secular country, and Bali, being more Hindu than they are Muslim, are a little bit more tolerant to this type of thing. So that's where we've been able to get our school programs in, and so far that's been exposed to over 5,000 children, and we hope to get another 8,000 over the next 12 months as soon as they open their schools again, because unfortunately all schools in Indonesia have been closed due to the COVID crisis for the last 9 months, which has obviously made our job very difficult with that project. I'm sorry I'm taking up some time. I'll just move on. Our second pillar focuses on investigation, arrest and prosecution, and that ultimately leads to usually some form of rescue or removing a child from harm. So we have private investigation teams that I've formed over a number of years and trained, and now they're forming more and training more that fall under this project model. And these people that basically are paid, they work for the organisation. And we have an intelligence network where we receive copious amounts of information, reports of these types of crimes, not just in Indonesia, but around the world. and we have to triage those, that information and intelligence coming in. We vet all that, and it's given appropriate ratings. And then if it's tasked to an investigation, then one of the teams will conduct an investigation. That quite often involves covert type techniques, surveillance, things like that, where we can obtain physical evidence that we can then provide to official law enforcement agencies. That's how we operate. We have a memorandum of understanding that we've signed with the police in Bali. So our organisation is also registered as a foundation in Bali, and so therefore, by law, we can perform these tasks. But we are still not the police. We don't have the authority to arrest people or prosecute them. So obviously we have to provide our body of evidence to the police. We brief them with a professional report and a professional briefing, and they then take over and begin an official police investigation, which then leads to an arrest. Quite often we're involved in that process. We provide training to the police. It's also part of this second pillar. We ran a very successful training, 3-day training program for Balinese police, the detectives from the Women's and Children's Protection Unit. And that was done by one of my old bosses, who's a renowned police trainer. He's trained the Myanmar police, Cambodian police, and also in Vanuatu, Fiji. So to have him come for free, we put him up, we flew him out, but he took no money for it and did a 3-day course, and the Indonesian police gave us all the commendation for the service that he provided. It was a phenomenal course. They all learned a lot from it. And unfortunately, COVID has cut us on that one too. We've had to put that one on the shelf. But that's our second pillar in a nutshell. That obviously leads to quite often an arrest, and quite often removing children from situations of harm. And then, so once the police have removed those children, it's not the police job to then protect those children as far as the welfare and aftercare. And quite often this is where we find systems around the world, even here in Australia, can be vastly improved. So particularly in Southeast Asia, these countries, there's very little resources, child psychologists, child trauma counsellors, social workers, even lawyers. In a lot of these countries, under their law systems, a victim must be represented by a lawyer. And quite often there is no legal aid type system, or the system is too clogged. In fact, there's no restitution for victims. So if a parent has to bring a child to court to testify, they miss out on a day's wages. And in a country where you're earning $5 a day, they simply can't afford to bring their child to court. So we have to provide legal representation. We have to provide transport. We have to provide quite often safe accommodation. So we have a network of safe houses that are government approved, and we have access to now going on 6 child psychologists. So we're actively involved in a number of aftercare cases now, even to the point where funds that we receive actually buy medication for some of these victims. They go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, which we've been able to provide, but then they have to be prescribed some medication because they're suffering severe trauma, and the government doesn't provide. There is no Medicare, there is no paying for that medication. So if the parents can't afford it, and most often they can't, we have to pay for that, or the child just goes without the medication. So that's part of our second pillar. And just lastly, our third pillar is what I've just been moving into, which is the aftercare and rehabilitation of children that we deal with in these crimes. So I've just spoken on a little bit about that, but we have a network of we don't like using the word orphanages, but places where quite often in Indonesia, children, either their parents, one parent is in jail, the other one can't afford the child, other parents give up their children, and for one reason or another they end up in one of these orphanages when they're not truly an orphan. However, they're more homeless, and so that makes them even more vulnerable. So we work closely with a wide range of orphanages throughout Indonesia, and Bali particularly, and also the local government agencies. We have national child protection agencies in Indonesia, which we again have an MOU with, but also down at micro level, there is under the Bali Governor's Office, there is a child protection unit, and we work very, very closely with that unit. So we're well established in Bali now as our regional headquarters for Southeast Asia. And our plans, as long as we can continue to grow and continue to expand our funding levels, is to duplicate this model. It's proven very successful, and we don't have the time tonight, but we've got some lovely slides that we can bring up with graphs and data and everything to show what we've been able to achieve in Bali, and the government recognition, law enforcement, even the Australian Federal Police, have commended us for some of the work that this organisation has done in the last 3 or 4 years. So sorry guys, I've talked for a while, and I don't want to take up all your webinar, but that's in a nutshell how we got started, and that's exactly what we do.
Oh, thank you so much, Glen. Also, guys, Glen is doing work with governments all over the world, and he was telling me that the pedophiles have a register now from Australia. So did you say they can't go, or they're registered and they can? That part I didn't quite understand, Glen, but
yeah. Sure. Look, in October 2015, I finally got to sit down with Darren Hinch. I've been chasing him for 6 months. Not an easy man to catch. And this was just before he became a senator. But the reason I chased him down was because, I'd been provided some information through a Freedom of Information application. And I've been given some data from our secretive ANCOR register, which is the Australian National Child Sex Offender Register. Not even regular police have access to it. And I won't get into this tonight. There's a whole political issues with all this sort of stuff. However, what came from it was that we were able to see how many registered child sex offenders were travelling to some of these countries I've mentioned tonight. And it was quite shocking, because these are ones that are actually declaring where they've actually applied. Because believe it or not, and it came out later on, that it was around 800 per year weren't. They were just travelling. And they should have been caught, but that's what we found out. There was no red flags, there was no stopping them, even though it was an offence to do so. But even the ones that were actually applying for it, put it this way, we found that there was around 200, this is in 2014, there was around 250 that went to Bali that year. It's nearly one a month. So these are people that have sexually abused a child in Australia. They've been found guilty of it in a court. They've done a jail time, and they've been put on a register when they've been released. And we're letting them get on planes and go to Bali. We're letting them go on planes and go to the Philippines or to Vietnam, right, where we know that these crimes. So Darren Hinch called it child rape holidays. It's a disgusting term, but it basically describes what these people were doing. And it raised a huge issue, and it was just stars aligned. The way the universe works out, Darren Hinch happened to be going for the Senate. And he made me a promise. He said, Glenn, if I get in, my first agenda will be to stop these bastards travel. And long story short, his National Press Club address, when he first stood up, he brought this up. And within a month, the Australian government held a press conference. It was November 2016, I think it was, and Malcolm Turnbull at the time stood up, said he had no idea this was happening and that the government would put a stop to it. Within 7 months, the legislation had been drafted. It had passed through the House of Representatives, and Darren rang me on the night that it was going through the Senate. And well, we both had tears in our eyes. It was actually a very important moment, and the law was passed. It's actually one of the fastest pieces of legislation this country's ever created. And essentially what it does is it says that if you're on one of these registers, that essentially you can't have a passport and you can't leave the country. So effectively we shut down thousands of registered child sex offenders going to these areas. We protected thousands of children, and that will last for years and years and years to come. But what's even more important to that is that was a world first piece of legislation. And I've now been pushing for the last 2 years in Germany, in the UK, in the US, a number of places to bring this legislation in. I gave evidence, oral evidence via video link to the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse in the UK, which has been wound up now, and the reports are coming out. I've been quoted in that 5 times, and those quotes have gone into the report recommending that the UK emulate the laws that we've had passed here in Australia. So we want to see this go global. We want to see people, we want to see countries managing their child sex offenders in their countries. Stop allowing them to go to these vulnerable areas of the world where we know what they're going to do. So that's a long answer to your question, sorry, but that's what we're able to achieve with that law. There are a number of other laws we're working on at the moment. You can jump on our Facebook page, you can find there, I think also on our website, I'm not sure if it's on our website yet, but our submission to the Victorian government that went in last month, and that was there's a current Senate committee that's looking into the viability of a public child sex offender register in Victoria. And this is also as part of a national plan under Peter Dutton for a public child sex offender register in Australia. Now, it's a very contentious issue. There's a lot of people against and there's a lot of people for it. But you can read our submission on there and our reasons for wanting one and thinking that there should be one. We believe that, I believe personally that parents and carers have a right to know. If there is a child sex offender in your area, in your immediate area, in your school, in your sporting club, you should know, and you should be empowered to have the tools to find out. At the moment, you don't. In fact, you can try, and you'll be told that you're not allowed to know. And that, I think, is that's not the world we live in today. I think, it's about empowering people, and I think empowering parents in the community to protect their own children should be more important than a child sex offender's rights. I think they've already demonstrated that they've harmed a child. But anyway, I'm getting off topic, and I'm sorry, and I'm not going to open up to that debate tonight. But that's just an example of some of the laws that we're working on. I believe personally that laws being changed are the long-term solutions to these problems. We can keep doing investigations, we can keep rescuing children, but at the end of the day, that is a band-aid to the problem. We have to do it because it's part of the immediate problem, but we focus proactively through education and awareness in schools and empowering the children, teachers and the community. And we also then work through that other way that I was talking, through changing laws. We see that as the long-term solution to reducing these crimes.
Wow, it's amazing. Thank you so much, Glenn, for all that you do through Project Karma, and your heart really shines through as you share, right? I mean, basically, I just what you've done, what you're doing, what you will continue to do, I'm sure that there are many people who will support you, but also, this kind of thing, like for me, I'm very similar to Husne, who I call my soul sister, is that, I treat other people's kids like my own kids, even though I'm not a mother as such. I really feel if people, especially young children, have to go through all this disgusting experiences, these terrible experiences, these people need to be put to justice for sure. So thank you again, Glenn. Really, really appreciate you. And I'm so glad to hear from Sissy Husne that, her team of 12 who are, about to go on this adventure all have opted to support Project Karma, and for good reason. And I know this is really an amazing not-for-profit that we all should be behind. So speaking of which, then I'd just like to, close this evening session by telling all of you who are here and those of you who might be watching the replay, how you can then support, Husne's adventure and her journey. By supporting her, you are in essence supporting Project Karma, because that's her nominated, chosen charity. And so there are 3 ways that I've personally, put together. Number one, as a business owner, an entrepreneur, I have a business, and I'm going to be donating my own program as I'm actually a health and weight management coach. So anyone from this month on till she goes away, in September, that are going to be doing my 30-day jumpstart program, which Sissy is going to do it with me, right? In order to be fit, to get ready for that, will all the process, all the coaching payment will be donated to Project Karma. So that's number one. Number two is with all the products that are in place with the services, coaching, will be all the proceeds will go into that. So that's number one. If you would like to, you know, reach your wellness, weight management goals, or purchase certain products that we've got available on my website, you know, you can contact me. You all have my email here. Number two is a great website that you can just directly, you know, donate to Husne, and Husne, I can actually type it in the group chat, or would you like to? So I'll just put it there. So any of you who is interested, and of course, you know, those of you who are watching in the background, I'm going to be putting it in our, you know, donation comment below as well. And I've got it here. And so that is basically the Project Karma fundraiser link, particularly for Husne. So I have it in the chat. Okay, let me just quickly put that in. So if you feel like, you know, you just want to sort of donate a lump sum through that, you can do that. So this is the link, and you go in there and just, is that right, Cici?
Yes.
Yeah, yep. So that's the second way that you can support him. The third way is if you are a business owner and you have, you know, extra, I suppose, you know, money that you would like to donate to a charity like Project Karma, which is so meaningful, you can be a sponsor to Husne's cause, which is basically Project Karma's cause. And that way, I'm aware that, you know, this TV show is going to be shown to more than like millions of people all around the world. And even in Australia alone, Channel 7 and Channel 9 will be airing, you know, this show. So globally, you know, anywhere between New Zealand, Asia, and India, you know, you can actually donate. And once you donate to become the sponsor, there is like gold, silver, and is that right, Cici? Yeah, then you know that it will
Bronze,
be
gold, and silver.
Yeah, bronze, gold, and silver. 100 million people globally will see that, and so that in a way would be able to help your you know, business branding, and at the same time supporting this amazing cause of Project Karma. So yeah, so here are the three different ways. Again, you know, you can actually go through me. I will give you my service and my coaching. All the proceeds go into that. Secondly, through the link that I've just put on, you know, the Zoom group chat, if you're live right now, or I will put it on my Facebook Live and YouTube channel. And or number three is to donate bronze, gold, and silver, $1,000, $3,000. She needs $10,000. So far, she's reached just over 3,000. So she needs another 7,000 before September 12th. So that's another 6 months in order to be eligible to go on that trip. So I'm sure we can all, you know, do our part, do our bit to support Husne and Project Karma. So I think that's basically all I would like to share, but I just want to pass the time again to Husne to maybe have some, you know, concluding, you know, remarks and sharing from your heart how you feel this is going to be an amazing and important part of not only your personal journey, but the journey of many children who've experienced terrible, you know, exploitation sexually, as you've very openly, honestly, and transparently share that you've, you know, had a bit of experience in when you were a child.
Yeah, thank you, Kitty. Thank you for putting this on, and everybody, thank you for being here. And also Glenn, I really appreciate it with all my heart. So thank you. And as I said, this is so dear to my heart. And I just want to leave a better future for our children. You know, they're our leaders. They are what is coming. And you know, I want to be a role model, and there's no reason why we can't unite all together and do this together, you know, all hand in hand. And, you know, it's not okay that these people are doing this to our kids. You know, it's just not okay that our families are doing this to us. These things are not okay. It's time to say it's not okay. You know, let's put a stop to it. Let's do it together, and really make something of it. We can move mountains if we all unite. So, you know, I'm seriously looking forward to this adventure, and I'm looking for a long relationship with Glen, because, you know, I've spoken to Glen on a few occasions of what I would like to do. I would like to bring his program to Australia, because I think it's absolutely amazing. It's you know, a long shot, but hey, you know, we can try. So Kitty, thank you so much, and please support us too.
Yes, everyone, please support Husne, and please support you know, Project Karma. And Jojo, did you want to say something?
Yeah, and I thought also, you know, supporting you in social media, Sissy, you know, all of us who've got, you know, a bit of a following of people interested. That's another great way we can support you with raising money, is if we can share your information.
Absolutely.
In ways that resonate with our clients. Yeah.
So crucial.
I have complete faith. I know that this
yes,
is
you're going to get there for sure.
I know that too. I know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And thank you again, Glen, for, you know, in such a short notice coming on and share your heart. And it's just so amazing what you do. And everyone, you know, of our friends here, Etane, Con, Adam, Anthony, Jane, and Gary, and many of our friends that are watching this in the replay or recording on YouTube. Thank you. Husne and Project Karma really need your support, and we have 6 more months to go. I have no doubt in my mind that, you know, 1,000 a month is something that we can together achieve for this and really amazing cause. So thank you again. Until next time, please continue to stay safe and be well, and God bless you all.
God bless.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you, Husne. Love you guys.
Take care, Husne. Take care, Glen. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Thanks, Katie. And